So unless you're watching this on a phone, ideally you're putting that thing away, that distracting device that beeps every few seconds. Try to focus on this. It's going to be 20 minutes roughly, and then a little bit of time for Q&A if there's any at the end. And then the last time we did this, Q&A went on for as long as the actual presentation. Got a smaller group tonight, so don't expect that, but I've been proven wrong before. Okay, so what you're in for tonight: quick goal setting exercise, how I would map out how to hit your 90-day goal, how to stay consistent when you know what hits the fan, and it will. And then a sneak peek at a new challenge, sort of a rapid fat loss approach. You know, I'm all about, a consistent lifestyle, making this a thing you can do for life. But every once in a while, you want to put the pedal to the metal, and your body will respond if you do it right. So I'm going to get into that as well if you stick around to the end. All right. So I just want, first off, to revisit your why for doing this. Okay. Remember, my why when I first lost 60 pounds was that realization that I was too overweight to really live the life I wanted to live. You may remember the story of my high school gym class bringing around this body fat measurement device, and I had the worst reading among the guys in the class, and that was sort of my light bulb moment. Okay, I can't keep going on the way I'm going. And, certainly wasn't a straight line to success from that point, but that was the trigger. So remembering your why. Nowadays, my why is a lot different, right? Like, picture a guy on his couch, a few extra pounds. His daughter comes running into the room, daddy, daddy, daddy. Her eyes light up, right? She obviously has a ton of love for this guy, and you can tell he has a lot of love to give back, but he knows if he doesn't change his habits, like serious changes, he's not going to be around for that daughter of his long term. You're playing Russian roulette the longer you let things slide in a situation like this guy's in. And there's no guarantees for any of us, but control what you can control, and that is your fitness and your eating habits. Because you don't want your daughter to have tears of sadness on her wedding day. Those should be tears of joy. And if you're responsible for tears of sadness that you're not there to walk her down the aisle, that's on you. So now that I have two daughters, my motivation has obviously shifted from being, a healthy role model, certainly, but around for them, present, and, have the energy to keep up with them. Someone's trying to get in here. Distracted. Okay. Well, tech issue, but I will send the replay to you, whoever you are, messaging me. All right, so that's the reason for this little preamble prior to this. Is the stronger your why, the easier everything will be. So just remember why you started. Keep that front of mind. Even if you got to pencil it in on a little sticky note on your fridge or wherever you're most tempted by the wrong stuff, I think it's super critical. And a lot of you are parents. Maybe you're further along, and now it's part of your reason to stick around, is that longevity, to be a grandparent, whatever it is. You need to determine that for yourself. But please have something in mind beyond just a six-pack. Vanity is cool, but there has to be something underlying that to drive you forward. So with that said, identity change this has got to be you see a target here. The inner circle is identity. What comes next is the actual day-to-day processes, and then the outcome is ultimately the weight loss and all that. So until you focus on your core and not just your abs, your identity core, to change your behavior for good, you need to really change some things about yourself. You got to believe yourself to be that fitness person in your circle. Okay, good. If you can hear me, say yes, because someone said they can't, interestingly enough. Send the text. Yes in the text. So what I was getting at here is you got to decide you're going to be the fitness person in your circle, and you're going to do things that reinforce that belief, right? You're not going to be the guy crushing 6 beers at wing night. You're going to be the responsible friend that has a beer or two and makes a good choice off the menu and gets home early enough to get up the next day and exercise. It comes down to this, because a short-term diet will get you a short-term result, but a full identity change will lead to permanent change. And I know all you know this, because that's really what I preach. So again, focus on that identity day in and day out. Obviously, you're going to slip up here and there, but live up to that ideal vision of yourself. All right. Barry, I think you've unmuted yourself. Barry. Okay, I'm muting you, Barry. Stay muted. Some background noise there. So become the fit person in your circle. Who is the type of person that could get the outcome I want? If I want to lose 20 pounds, then I'm probably going to have to do something that fit people do in order to lose that weight and keep it off. Simple enough. I kind of was fine. So if you want to lose weight, that identity has to change from the inside out, but you got to start small, right? If you're just new to the program, I know Merv is new. Who else? Yeah, Barry's new, although he's a returnee, but you have to kind of take it in incremental steps, right? If you came into the program not working out at all, not eating healthy to any degree, then you kind of have to just pick and choose your battles here. Start with a small win. If that means just buying a pedometer or tracking your steps on a Fitbit, getting in a 10-minute walk today, 20-minute walk tomorrow, and building up to that 10,000 steps a day target. Not trying to do it overnight or revamping your whole lifestyle. You will fail if you try to change too much at once. Okay, so now on to the goals. I kind of got you here with this. In the first place, this is going to be the focus of today. You've got to set clear goals, which is why I get you to map out your 90-day plan when you first join. I would recommend revisiting that if you've been in the program a while and seeing where you're at and where you can make adjustments so that you trend towards that for the end of March still. So losing 30 pounds, if it's a blood sugar thing you're trying to get down, whatever it is, make it very concrete. And then commit to it, because big goals take big actions day after day. And without commitment, there's no real change, no permanent change anyway. Because, as cliche as this quote is, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And wishes don't get you very far. Just like dreams don't get you very far. Dreams are good, but you've got to put the action in place to actually follow through on them. All right, so the D.A.D method to goal setting. So this may be kind of a refresher for some of you. I've kind of gone through this in a blog of late. It's an important topic for me because it seems like it's something people really need. So we'll get into the D.A.D acronym now. And the first one is, again, to set that deadline. Because without a deadline, we procrastinate. Then we feel guilty. Then we panic, make excuses, and we procrastinate again. And if we give ourselves all the time in the world to do this stuff, that stupid human trick of procrastination will rear its head and you'll push it off for another day. And it'll only make the process harder and longer when you do finally commit to yourself. So set a hard deadline around that goal. If it is weight loss, put a number on it. Doesn't really matter if you actually get there. What matters is that you're striving towards that and you do whatever you can to whatever you can control, you do. All right. This keeps closing out on me. Okay. All right, so that's the 90-day blueprint. If you haven't completed this at any point, I would encourage you to do it. I can send it to you if you need it again. But it's putting that big goal front and center, and the process goals are the kind of the things you do every week, every day to move you towards that. And then the milestone 24 hours, 72 hours, those are things where you kind of revisit the plan and make adjustments with my help, obviously. So after 14 days, we look at your weight loss, we adjust your calories if required, maybe add cardio, that kind of thing, so that it's always trending in the right direction. Number two is accountability. You know, and you're all here, you've enlisted in a coach, so you know the power of this, but we're also going to talk about how to enforce things, because it's easy to quit on ourselves. But if we have someone else who we don't want to disappoint, who's pulling us along with them, more likely to see it through. And then the next part is the carrot versus the stick. You need something on the line to ensure you do what you need to do, what you know you need to do. And that goes beyond just having a coach. That means either the stick, in that case, that's a consequence if you don't reach your goal. In this case, there's a great book I read years ago called The Blackmail Diet. Author puts money on the line. If he fails to reach his goal, then that money goes to the American Nazi Party, a group he did not support. Let that be a caveat. He did not support. So that $5,000 was gone and not going to anything that he really wanted it to go towards. And sure enough, he lost, I think it was 70 pounds over the course of a year because he had that money already on the line and it was gone if he didn't hit it. Now, not everyone is motivated by consequences, although it's more common. But the carrot can be some sort of reward for reaching a goal. And I encourage you to set these up each month. At the end of the month, if you really had a good month and you can reflect back and say, you know what, I did all I could, then reward yourself. It doesn't have to be an all-inclusive vacation like this, but something that's going to keep you motivated, to look forward to, a massage, nice dinner out, that kind of thing. I think it's important to give yourself little victories at the end if you've put in the effort. You know, it's only fair to yourself. All right. If you join us, Daniel, Kristen, welcome. You guys can hear me, please hit in the chat box and say yes, because I can't seem to see the chat on my end right now. So I'm kind of driving blind, but I will look that up once I see it here. Okay, good. All right. So next up is loss aversion theory, which is why I mentioned that a consequence is usually a better driving force than a reward. It's because of this whole loss aversion theory, which means people are more apt, prefer to avoid losses than potential gains. Unfortunately, it's just the way our brains are wired, scarcity mindset. We don't like to lose the things we already have in our possession, but even if it means potential gain down the road, we prefer to hold on to that. So an example of that is when I enlisted a coach back in 2003, if I failed to reach my goal, which I believe is 60 pounds, can't remember, I think it was around 60, I'd have to quit playing video games for a year, and that was sort of my life at the time. So the threat of losing games was kind of my driving force to stick to my plan. So sometimes you need that in the early going until this stuff becomes habitual, right? So if you don't have that in place, I encourage you to get something on the line, please. It's too easy to quit. All right, so this is a dog and another dog's butt. Just to kind of break up the monotony of this, I think we're approaching 15 minutes. So we're nearing the end here. Next 5, we're going to go into the last part, the final D, which is really the nuts and bolts of how you actually execute, and that is direction. So again, you have that goal set, but this is about the 3 process goals, 3 to 5, that you're going to do every day, you're going to do every week, that are going to move you towards it. This is the boring, in the trenches stuff that leads to all the good stuff in the end. The delayed gratification. So you weigh in daily if that's something that doesn't mess with your head too much. You can see trends. You track your calories, right? 90% of the time, maybe you slip up a day or two, okay. And then you get in those fixed workout dates in the calendar and you execute. If you do that over and over, that is controlling what you can control. And I promise you the results will follow eventually, even if it's slower than you'd like. Now, how do you do and stay consistent with those processes when they start to get pretty monotonous and the new car smell wears off? Well, something called the Seinfeld Strategy. So fellow comedian Brad Isaac I think he was backstage with Jerry Seinfeld, and he asked him, what was the absolute key to Jerry's success? And Jerry said, simply consistency. And what he did was get a big calendar, like you see on the left here. You're right, possibly. And for each day he was to write his jokes, he could put an X on the calendar. But if he didn't write a joke that day, obviously it would be left blank. And his goal, his sole goal of those first years was not to break the chain, have X's across the board. So this is how you can use or set up a visual trigger that motivates you. So you pick one habit for the month, something you think is going to really push the needle forward for you. So if you're walking 3,000 steps right now, you Set your target at 8,000 steps. If you do that, you cross it off on the calendar. If you don't make that target before bedtime, then obviously you leave it blank. And then by the end of the month, we should see some good X's and very little O's. Okay? So this is not something you can really realistically do for certain things. For example, weight training workouts, you're not going to do 7 days a week. But for these other important metrics, you can absolutely use this, and I encourage you to do it. Okay, so I do it I digitally put like a daily cardio block, and I make sure that I complete that, and then I would go back to my calendar once it's done and exit out. I think it just works better if it's real world, pen and paper, old school, versus digital, but that's, everyone works a little bit differently. All right. So along that same line, shit's gonna hit the fan, like I said, and it's always important to have a backup plan when life throws a curveball. So you gotta kind of have, if you can't make the gym one night, the gym is a trip to drive, maybe your kids are sick, then do something and have your backup 10-minute circuit. I put those 30-day workouts in the Facebook group. You could pull one of those up, 10 minutes, you get a little sweat, and you feel accomplished. And it's still moving you forward, even though you had some crap literally thrown your way that day. So basically, the premise is, if something unexpected happens, then this is what I'll do. If I don't wake up in time to go to the gym tomorrow morning, then I'll have to do it before bed. I'll pack my gym clothes with me, whatever the case may be, right? You figure out what's going to set up best for you. All right. So to review today's goal setting, remember why you started. If you jumped on late, that means your reason for doing this, whether it's to be, an active parent, live a long life, maybe be a grandmother soon. Who knows? Wherever you're at in your life, there's always a strong reason to commit to your own fitness goals. And when you have that reason, you're less guilty when you set time aside for yourself. So FOMA, just front of mind awareness, keep it front of mind, put it on a sticky note somewhere if you need it, maybe on that pantry with the peanut butter, somewhere where that's gonna keep you honest. This whole process must start with identity change. So like I spoke about, the tactics and strategies will not work in the long haul if your identity does not change. And this is why people can lose 20 pounds on a quick diet and gain back 40. Because they go back to being the same person they were before. And quite frankly, you got to put on a new cloak and turn into Superman, not Peter Parker. All right. Getting a message that someone can't get in. Oh, I love tech. All right. Well, they'll get the replay. It's all good. So for those on, we're going to wrap up here very soon. If you have questions, I encourage you to hit them in the chat box. I have that open now. But just to review, the last bit here is to set that goal for the year, but also set one for 90 days. Keep that front of mind awareness as well. So print out that sheet and put that somewhere in your office. And then simply what matters after that point, if you got clear, concise direction, is you follow that DAD method. You got the deadline in place. You got accountability with me. Maybe you've put in some consequences in place and you've shared those with your inner circle. And then the direction is those daily and weekly processes. All right, good. Jonah Hill, and a guy that never changed his identity. Proof right there. If he changed his identity when he lost the weight the first time and the second time, he would have kept it off. But he didn't. Sad story. He's funnier this way though anyway. All right, so this is, I hazard against the quick fix approach, but all of you have been around, well, not all of you, but the majority of you have been around a while. You've been good foot soldiers, putting in that daily effort to get your pound or two a week lost. And that is the best way to do this. Don't get me wrong, but little sprints, little shortcuts have their place. However, you need to kind of move some rocks around in your life to do it. It takes more time. You won't have as much energy. And it's something that's not sustainable, but it can get you a lot of weight loss and get you that motivation if you're really driven by measurable statistics, okay? So both of these, although it's a little different tact with women and men, but this is the approach I would have taken, and I've done a few bodybuilding shows back in the day, in that final 4 to 6 week ramp up. Okay, so this is going to be an optional thing. If you feel you're out of place, and we'll determine this together if you feel it's really realistic for you. But some general themes. This is where most people go way over, is on the fat intake. So you're literally not eating any fat apart from what's in the lean meats you eat. Every bodybuilder who gets super lean, and I learned from the people who I aspire to, and bodybuilders get the leanest of anyone in the world. So they know what they're doing. And fats are what they moderate the most. Now, carbs trend down each week. Protein stays constant. You are fighting your body pretty hard here. So you're going to not always feel that great throughout the process. But this is the most effective way to lose fat, in my opinion. And I am test driving it right now. I'm already feeling the effects a bit 3 days in. So I'm going to hold off rolling this out until probably March 1st. Probably get a few of you in a few weeks earlier than that. But I want to make sure we do this right if we're going to do it. So this is just a quick review of what I was doing for my numbers. Protein has to come up even further than I have set it up for you guys, which is already a challenge for many of you to reach. 1.18 to 1.25 per body weight. You know, I'll do the math for you on this. Don't get too hung up on it. But what I wanted to show you in this slide is just the fact that carbs trend down by maybe 10% a week, so that we continue to see these 1.5, 2 pound drops. And then at the end, we have an important exit strategy where you come out of those 6 weeks, hopefully 10 pounds down, and really feel like you can maintain it with a little diet break afterwards. So if you're feeling a little stuck in the mud, this could be just the tonic for you. But I know some of you are new, and I don't want to F with your